Hey everyone, I am Robin the Copy Bitch. This is Stewie. Oof, my sidekick sloth. I think he just headbutted me. And today we're going to talk about, can you make money from copywriting? Okay, so first of all, my answer to this question is not in response to one person. I just want to put that out there because I've been getting some really good traction on this channel and grateful for all the questions and emails and nice notes and stuff that y'all been sending me, which is great. But I've been thinking about doing this video for a while, and I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I want to be realistic because I think that's important. And I think YouTube is great because you find all these videos, especially if you've done any searches on copywriting, where you have lots of copywriters who talk about, six-figure copywriting and how they went from not making any money, and 6 months later they're making this tons of money. And I don't doubt them. And I don't doubt that those success stories exist. I don't doubt that possibly you could have that sort of success. But there are many different types of people out there, and not everyone is necessarily going to be built for or suited for or ready to jump into that, oh my gosh, I can make six figures within 2 months mindset. And I'm a perfect living and breathing example of that, because it took me, I just was thinking about this today, it took me 5 years before I was making a living as a freelance copywriter. So let me back up a little bit. Some of you might have heard this story before. This video is definitely for people who are new to copywriting, who are thinking about it, wondering if they can make a living, or the people, especially for the people who are trying to do this copywriting thing and wondering why they're not making money. They don't have the clients and oh my gosh, should I be doing this? So let's get to it, shall we? The answer to the question, can you make money as a freelance copywriter, is absolutely yes. Absolutely, you can do it. This is a great industry to go into. Content marketing is what makes the business world go round, at least right now. I am not worried about artificial intelligence and chat GPT yet. I'm really not. I'm going to do a video about that. But really, content marketing, if you are a good writer and you know inbound marketing and content marketing and you can make deadlines and you're pleasant to work with, there is no shortage of work. But you need to get established. You need to get your foot in the door. And I know that's a chicken and egg conundrum, and that's one of the things I want to talk about here. So first of all, my background. I became a freelance copywriter in 2002, yes, over 20 years ago. And my background was in radio. I wanted to write fiction. I left radio, my full-time radio job, started to work on the Great American Novel for a year. That didn't happen. I moved back home with my parents, so I wasn't making any money during that year pretty much. And then I realized, well, that's not really working, this whole novel writing thing. So I had been kind of investigating copywriting. Could I make a living as a, copywriter, freelance copywriter? I went back to radio briefly as a promotions director, which also further kind of made me think I can do this copywriting thing. And then I left radio again full time and hung out my virtual shingle August 2002. Okay, 5 years later, so we're talking 5.5 years later probably, the end of 2007 is when I can say that I was pretty much making a full-time living as a freelance copywriter. And the reason why I can say that's when it was happening was that's when I decided to move out of my parents' house. So I moved out in early 2008 and could do it, easily and without a lot of worry. I shouldn't say easily. It's never easy, is it? No, you didn't even exist then. I know. During those 5 years when I was building my business, I had other jobs in the beginning. So at the very beginning, I was still working as an activities assistant in a nursing home. Yes, I was the bingo bitch before I was the copy bitch. And I also worked part-time in radio. I kept the radio gig on the side. I was doing on-air work on weekends, 4 a.m. on a Saturday morning, and in the middle of the night on holidays. And I was also teaching. So I was doing a bunch of things, cobbling my existence together and the copywriting, and I was building my business. And slowly, over those 5 years, I was able to, shed those things. I got rid of the bingo bitch thing first, and then I got rid of the teaching thing, and then I got rid of the radio thing, and then I was just doing copywriting, and then I was kind of cooking with gas by that point. So the way I built my business, and again, you have to remember where we were in 2002. This was before social media, like real, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, all those things. This was before, I think, the phrase inbound marketing existed. I don't think that really came into being until like HubSpot really took off in like 2006. So this was before that. This was before all businesses had websites. This was before you did all your shopping online. This was before Amazon really took off. This was before everyone had email addresses. But when I finally started to make my living as a full-time copywriter in 2007, end of 2007, beginning of 2008, that's when things were really taking off in the digital space. I mean, the iPhone came about in what? End of 2007, 2008, e-readers, all that sort of stuff. You had, Twitter was taking off, and you had Instagram and Snapchat and, of course, Facebook and all the things, everything. So that digital media revolution kind of really happened. I don't think it's a coincidence that my copywriting career really took off when that happened. Because the need for content, as I often say, content is what makes the business world go round, really kind of took off. So people like me were and still are very much in demand. All right. So that was my trajectory. It didn't happen overnight for me. Could it have happened faster? Yes, I had the luxury of living back home with my parents, but that also meant that I wasn't as motivated to make it happen faster, if that makes sense. Also during that time, I went back to graduate school. I got my MFA in creative writing during that time. So I was doing other things, and living at home made sense because then I could pay for some of the school out of pocket, yada, yada, yada. Okay. So you're probably saying, okay, that's nice, Robin, but let's make it all about you. When can you start making money as a freelance copywriter? Well, and I understand you want an answer to that question, and you want to know, when you can start paying rent and keep yourself in beer and Skittles, or beer or wine and Skittles, or milkshake and Skittles, as we say around here. So before you can talk money, I want to make sure you have the blocking and tackling down, because this is where I see a lot of young writers falter, or people who are new to copywriting. Before we talk money, let's make sure, A, you can write. Do you know how to write? Honestly, okay? Like, are you a good writer, a strong writer? Are your grammar and punctuation solid? Spelling. Have you been complimented in your writing? Have you ever written in any sort of professional capacity in maybe a day job or something like that? Be honest with yourself. Have someone else that you trust be honest with you. Here's the thing. If your writing chops are not as strong as they should be, you can learn if that's what you really want to do. It's a skill that can be learned. You can take, courses online and tests and all things like that. You can spruce up your grammar, your punctuation, your composition, your ability to clearly articulate a thought. You can improve that. So make sure you know how to write. Okay, that's A. B, do you understand the basic tenets of copywriting? All right, sounds so basic. Like you want to be a copywriter, but you need to know what inbound marketing means. You need to know what content marketing means. It's okay if you don't when you're starting. Like when you're sitting here and we're having this talk, if you're like, I'm not really sure, that's okay. There's a solution, and you need to actually do this before you can talk about making money as a copywriter. Go to HubSpot Academy, Google it, HubSpot Academy, do this right now. There are free courses. HubSpot Academy Inbound Marketing Certification. It's free. I believe it's under 4 hours. Like you take it and you have to watch videos and pass little quizzes and take a certification. You'll be certified in inbound marketing. You can use that little badge on your LinkedIn profile, on your website. This is going to help show people that you actually know what you're talking about, okay? And you need to do the same for content marketing. So there's HubSpot Academy, Inbound Marketing, HubSpot Academy, Content Marketing. HubSpot Academy also has SEO copywriting or SEO writing, something like that. They have email marketing. There are all sorts of courses you can take. But those first two, I would say start that. See what you know. Like when you take the courses, is this like old hat to you? Like, oh yeah, I've heard all this. I've been studying this. I know this. Great, aced it. Or if it's new territory, you might need to take a step back before you can start hanging out your shingle and trying to get clients. Teach yourself copywriting. And it's easy enough to do. As I said, those two courses, 4 hours each, you could do that in a weekend. You might be saying, well, Robin, I got kids or I've got a part-time. Okay, maybe it's not a weekend for you. Maybe it takes a week or two. But you should have half hour here to take this course. If you don't, you probably don't have time to be working as a copywriter on client stuff, right? So you need to do that education, make sure you understand that. So make sure you know how to write, make sure you are set with copywriting skills. If you need to continue to brush up on those skills, there are plenty of free courses online. There are also some paid ones, and I think probably with the paid ones, you might get the benefit of having a set of eyes on your work, which could be really helpful to get some feedback. Do that, okay? After you do that, if you're confident in your writing, if you're confident in your copywriting chops, what's the next step? You need to have some sort of website. It can be basic, it can be budget friendly, it can be one that you just build with a template. Have a homepage, have an about page. That's the page that's going to be about you. Have a picture, make it about you, show off those certifications so you can prove to people that you actually have experience, you know what copywriting is, you know how to do this. Reassure them. And then you're going to have a portfolio. I'll link to my video about portfolios below. And I know this is a chicken and egg conundrum because if you haven't had any copywriting clients, how do you include samples of your work? I have solutions for that. Don't overthink the portfolio. What people want to see in a portfolio is just that you actually know how to write. And like they're looking at your style, they're looking at, how you construct headlines, they want to feel reassured. And as you get paying clients, you can swap out some of the sample stuff, and so maybe some of the stuff that you didn't, did for pro bono for someone just so you could get those samples with some of the paying work. And it's a fluid page. It's one that you should constantly be adding to. Okay, so that's your portfolio page, and then a basic contact page. Right? So step A, let's recap. Writing. B, make sure you know copywriting. C, have a little website. Okay. D, this is the part where people stumble. Okay. What's D? So D is the point where I think a lot of the people who have been emailing me are getting stuck because they're like, okay, I don't know how to get the clients. How do I make money? When am I going to start making $5,000 a month? Remember my trajectory, okay? It took me 5 years before I was making a living. That first year, I wasn't making much from copywriting. I was cobbling together an existence, but it wasn't just from copywriting. So it's going to be different for different people, but keep in mind that might be your trajectory. Maybe you have to keep your full-time job and work on copywriting at night and on weekends in the beginning until you can really gain traction and generate clients. Or maybe you have to work a part-time job, or maybe you have to cobble together a few things, or maybe, if you're married or you have a partner, maybe the partner picks up the slack and gives you 6 months to work on this and really hustle. I don't know your situation. Only you can determine what's going to work, but it might not happen overnight. It might. And especially if you're that person who can really do that, wow them and, you have no problem picking up the phone or sending cold emails and doing that, it might happen, but you have to be honest with yourself as well. So the way I got clients in the beginning, my first year as a copywriter, I joined a networking group called Business Networking International. And as its name suggests, it is international. I don't know if it's in every country, but it's big organization. So check it out. BNI, I don't know if it's .com or .org or what, but just Google it, Business Networking International. See if it's in your country, see if there's a chapter near you. That could be a place to start. It does cost money to join, so I just want to put that out there. But there are other networking opportunities too. There are chambers of commerce. There are meetup groups. There are, women's networking groups. There are industry specific, like marketing institutes and marketing associations and things like that. Be creative. If you went to college, reach out to your alumni association and see if there's a way that you can network with people. Like, is there a networking group, or do people get together and, get business cards? And the thing you have to do is let people know that you're doing this thing. So if you've created the website and you feel confident in your skills, start by sending a letter to family and friends, an email, a letter, good old fashioned letter. Send an email to family and friends saying, hey, I'm just launching this copywriting business. Here's a link to my website. And, I'm trying to drum up clients. Do you know anyone? Do you know a small business owner who needs help with their website? Or they need an email newsletter, or they need help with their social media platforms. You want to be that specific, because if you say, do you know anyone who needs a copywriter? Most people are going to be like, what? Because most people don't know what copywriting is. But if you say, do you know a small business owner who needs help with their website, I can almost guarantee you that if you send that email out to 100 people, someone on there is going to be like, yeah, I know someone, or they're going to be that someone, because small business owners often struggle with keeping their website up to date or looking good or being interesting or being, findable in Google. So that's where you can step in, and that's how you start building your clients. And it's not going to be like millions of dollars overnight. That's the thing you have to keep in mind. That one small business where maybe you're just revamping a 5-page website is not going to be a huge amount of money, but it's a great portfolio clip, right? And it's great experience. And then if you do a great job for them, which you will, you can then say, hey, do you know anyone who needs help with their website? These business owners, they flock together. And you can also talk to the person who just did the website for and be like, hey, you like the website copy? Do you need an email newsletter? Like, upsell. Do you need help with your social media? Can I blog for you every month? Like, these are the things you have to do. Remind them, because they're not going to know, of what you can do. And then, maybe you create a little monthly marketing package where $500 a month, you do X, Y, and Z for them, or $1,000 a month, you do X, Y, and Z for them. That's how you do it, okay? And you just, it's hard. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, networking and doing that can be really hard, and it's not for everyone. It definitely wasn't for me. I did it, but I'm a classic introvert. Like, to do that, to go out, to put on pants, and to go to a networking thing, it's tough. I'm not gonna lie, for people like me who are, that's not their thing, but you do it. Because I wanted to make it happen, and that's what it took, and it took some time. And I'm no longer part of these networking groups because I'm lucky enough I don't have to be, but in the beginning I did. So networking is key, and just constantly, you don't want to be obnoxious about it. Like, at every single, you don't want to be talking about yourself at every event you go to nonstop, but like when you're meeting people or, hanging out with family and friends, just remind them, be like, hey, reminder, I'm in business, I'm a freelance copywriter. Do you know a small business owner who needs help with their website? Do you know a small business owner who needs help with their, you hear them complaining about Facebook or doing Google ads and they don't know what they're doing? I can help with that. Like, you have to be that specific and clear. And if you do that enough and you get in the habit of doing that enough, it's gonna start to build and start to bubble. Are there faster ways to do it? Yes. And there are videos out there. You can Google it. Just Google on YouTube, like copywriting. Like, you'll find those channels who talk about how to do it. I can't speak to whether it's going to work for you or not. I think probably there are some folks who go through it and it's successful, and other folks it might be hard. So you do you figure it out. But, slow and steady can win the race as well. It just might take you a little bit longer. All right. So I think the biggest mistake, and this happened to me, like when I was working on my fiction, I spent so much time researching publishing and agents and book deals and contracts. And at some point I was just saying to myself, Robin, you need to actually just write the book. I didn't have a novel yet. I was kind of dabbling, but the novel has to come first before you even have to worry about getting the agent or the publisher. And the same is true with copywriting. You can't think about making $5,000 a month or $10,000 a month if you are still struggling with writing, or you're still not sure about what, SEO means, search engine optimal what, you have to know those things. So you take that step back, and maybe that puts you back 6 months, which I know can be frustrating, but you have to be honest with yourself. And you need that website, and then you need to start hustling, networking, putting your name out there, asking for business. And eventually, and this is true, I do believe this is true, if you continue doing that, and you do a great job, if you meet deadlines, if you're pleasant to work with, and you do those 3 things consistently, the magic will happen. Because I find, it's amazing, but I find that those 3 things, someone who can meet deadlines, who's pleasant to work with, and who does a good job, that's kind of the winning formula right there. Do that. Repeat. Lather, rinse, repeat, as they say, right? So, to recap, can you make money? Can you make money? Can you make money as a freelance copywriter? The answer is yes. Is it going to take time? Probably. Okay? Be honest with yourself. Can you write? Check. Great. Do you understand the tenets of copywriting? You really understand them. You've done the certifications through HubSpot. You have? Great. Do you have a website? You do. Awesome. Are you out there starting to network and get your name out there, and you send the email to 100 family and friends, and you ask them, hey, I'm a freelance copywriter. Here's a link to my website. Do you know a business owner who needs help with their website or their email newsletter, or they're complaining about their social media platforms? I can help with all that. I'd love an introduction. Do those things, and then continue to do D or 4 on that list. You have to continue to do that. Okay, you have to continue to market yourself. And if you continue to do that, the magic will happen. All right, but you have to do those things and make sure those other things are in place. Anyway, I am Robin the Copy Bitch. This is Stewie, my sidekick sloth. If you found this video helpful, hopefully you did, and hopefully more inspiring than not, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, just move along, and we will see you next time.